Okay, guys, so let's begin the session now. So here when we talk about the let's brush it up once before we move further. So already we have seen what is Azure data engineering, guys. So as you know that the Azure data engineering is nothing but it is a bunch of the cloud services, guys. It's a bunch of the cloud services wherein you have the following. That is nothing but the following task we can achieve it here by using the Azure data engineering. What are those, guys? The first one is called as a guys. The first one, Azure data engineering is a bunch of cloud services where we use it for achieving the following task. What are those? The first one is the data migration. The first one is we have the data migration. Then you have the data integration. Data migration, then we have the data integration. Okay, guys, and then we have what's it? Data summarization. Data migration, data integration, data summarization, and then we have the data visualization. So, guys, these are all the tasks we can perform it by using the Azure data engineering. Wherein, guys, the Azure data engineering, as we know, it's a bunch of the cloud services. The following cloud services are provided in this. What is that? And the first one is the ADF is one of the service we have it, and then we have the next service as the ADB, guys, which we call it as the Azure Databricks. Okay, that means we are using the Databricks for Azure. The Databricks is nothing but we are using the Databricks for Azure. And here you have what? Azure Data Factory, ADF. So again, the next one we have it as what, guys? Everyone. So here we have the Synapse. And then after the Synapse, okay, guys. So here we have the Azure Fabric. So basically, Synapse, when we talk about, guys, this is the data warehouse of Azure. And Fabric is nothing but, guys, everyone. Fabric is nothing but wherein, okay, wherein you have, what is it? Is, guys, wherein, what is it you have it? Fabric is nothing but okay, guys. So Azure Fabric is nothing but basically it is a combination of all. That means the Azure Fabric is a recently introduced one where it has the feature of ADF, ADB, Synapse, and as well as the everything. Okay, so Fabric. So whereas the Fabric, apart from the Fabric, you have one more, the advanced feature in the Azure that we call it here as a Open AI. See, guys, Open AI is nothing but what? Guys, Open AI is just like the Chat GPT. Have you heard about the Chat GPT? The same Chat GPT. Okay, the same type of thing we have it. Okay, here as the Open AI, that is Open Artificial Intelligence. Okay, so Open Artificial Intelligence. Okay, then we have, apart from this, what is the other thing you have it? Uh, Apart from the Open AI, guys, you also have the, okay, machine learning, where we can design the algorithms, everything. Okay, it is basically when you talk about the this module is specifically, the machine learning module is specifically for the visualization purpose. That is, we call it as analysis, whatever it may be. Okay, guys. So next one after this. So as we know that these are all the many more are there services, but I'm explaining you some of the services which are available here. Okay, or we are going to discuss the same. Okay, next one after this. Okay, so when we talk about the what is the whole story, the whole chapter, everything starts from what, the main one, that is called as the data. So data means what, guys? Data is nothing but, everyone, data is nothing but, data is nothing but the information. Data is nothing but what, guys? Everyone, information. So where do we get the information? We get the data or the information from, what is that, from the business. So guys, as you know, what are the types of business we can have? We can have many type of business, such as, what's that, we can get the data from the business. So what are the type of business we can have? We can have this social networking sites as one business. Social networking sites is one business, wherein you have Facebook, Twitter, Insta, etc. Whatever the thing you have it. The second business you have it as, what's it, guys? Banking applications or banking business, where you get the data from the banking applications. And the next one, what's that you have it, guys? Everyone, banking applications. You get the data from the banking applications. You get the data from the banking applications. And apart from this, guys, you get the data from where? From the IoT sensors, guys. IoT sensors. So IoT sensors is what? Basically, it measures the pressure, gas, speed, wind speed, everything. This kind of measurements will be done by the IoT sensors. And then apart from this, what do we say? The sensors, we have the live streaming data. We have the live streaming data. That means the data which we received on the continuous basis. The data which we received on the continuous basis. Okay, guys. The data which we received on the continuous basis. Okay. Uh, you say, uh, can you say what should you have it? IoT sensors, live streaming data, etc. So these are all the various type of business where we have, guys. These are the various type of business where we have, guys. Yes, where we have. Okay. Here. Apart from this, we can have many more type of business. Okay. But I'm just giving you the few of the examples that yesterday, because we have already seen in detail. So just I'm brushing up before we move the things technically. So when we talk about the data, guys, finally we have looked at here yesterday, data. So all these things generates, what's that, guys? Everyone, all these things generates, what's that? Big data. All these generates, what's that, guys? Big data. All these generates, what's that? Big data, guys. All this generates, what's that, guys? Big data. All this generates big data. So what do you mean big data? Yes, guys, big data. Big data means what? Big data. All this generates, what's that? Big data. Big data means what? Big means huge. Data means information. So we can say huge information. We can say what's that, guys? Huge information. And this is basically classified into the following categories. What is that? The first one is called as the structured data. And the second one is called as what, guys? Semi-structured data. Third one, we call it as what? Unstructured data. That's it, guys. These are the, guys, these are the three categories of data we have it. Yes, everyone. So when we talk about the structured data means what, guys? It is, okay, highly sophisticated data which is kept in the form of a table. That is nothing but in the form of, what is it, guys? Rows and columns. That's in the form of rows and columns. In the same way, when you talk about the, yes guys, when you talk about the same, that is called as a semi-structured data. The data which is recorded in the form of a JSON files, and the data which is recorded in the form of a HTML file, and the data which is recorded in the form of a XML file. So these are all the formats we have it. What's it? JSON, HTML, and the XML. These are the formats we have it. Okay, guys. So the next one, what's it? You have it unstructured. So basically, when we talk about the unstructured, actually there will be no structure for unstructured. That means there is no structure, guys. As you know, there will be no structure. Such as the unstructured data, we can have it as what? The photos, videos, all this comes under what's it, guys? Photos, videos, then we have the chat histories. Okay, chat histories, all this comes under what's it, guys, everyone? Photos, videos, chat histories, all this comes under what's it? All this comes under the, yes, unstructured data only. So as a data engineer, what we do, we convert the unstructured data, guys. How do we do? As a data engineer, everyone, as a data engineer, we convert the unstructured data to, yes guys, as a we handle the unstructured data and convert it into the, yes, semi-structured means what, guys? Here we convert it into the JSON form or some other understandable form. Later, if it is required, so then we convert the same into what's it, guys? Everyone, we convert it into what? Structured. So basically, this is the process which we call as handling of the data. So this is the way we handle the data, guys. We handle the data here, guys. Okay. Structured, semi-structured, and the unstructured. But the next question, guys, where do you store this data actually? The next question is what? Where do you store the data? See, guys, whether you have structured data or the unstructured data or the semi-structured data, whether you have a structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data, do we require to store the data or not? Please tell me. Yes, please respond, everyone. Do we require to store this data somewhere or not? Hello. Am I audible, guys? Everyone, please respond.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So my question is that whether it is unstructured, semi-structured, or structured, do we require to store this data somewhere or not? Acha.
Yes.
In your PC, okay, in your computer, you store the data. Am I right? In your computer, you store the data. When you store the data in your computer, yes, guys, when you store the data in your computer, tell me now, whenever you store the data into the computer, where do you store it? In your PC, you store the data. You have some data. So either you store in the form of files and folders. Am I right or not, everyone? Yes. In your PC, when you want, there is a laptop. You have a laptop, and in the laptop you want to store the data. So where do you store it? In the laptop, you store the data in the form of a file and in the form of a folder as well. Am I right? So whereas here also, guys, this data in Azure is actually stored, that is structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. This data is stored in the Azure storages. The data is stored in what's it, guys? Azure storages. The data is stored in what is it, guys? Azure storages. The data is stored in what is it, guys? Azure storages. The data is stored in what is it, guys? Azure storages. Okay. Azure storages. The data is stored in the Azure storages. So what are the storages you have? Totally you have, guys, everybody, just concentrate here. 90 plus storages are there. How many? 90 plus storages. I'll discuss one of the storages, everyone, and use of it. Okay. So likewise, guys, you have the following storages. The first one, I can say, guys, the first and foremost one, that is called as a Azure Blob Storage. The first and foremost is called as what, guys? Azure Blob Storage. The first and foremost one is called as what? Azure Blob Storage. Blob. When we talk about the blob. So guys, what do you mean by blob, everyone? Yes, somebody? Any idea? Blob stands for binary large object. Yes, everyone? Blob stands for what, guys? Binary large object. That means a blob storage is nothing but, yes, guys, a blob storage is nothing but, it is called as a binary large object. Okay, wherein, guys, everyone, wherein the blob storage can store any kind of data. What do you mean by any kind of data, guys? The blob storage can store the following type of data. What is that? The first one, we can store the tabular data. And the second one, we can store what's that, guys? Yes, tabular data. We can store the semi-structured data. Tabular data is more structured data. And semi-structured data means what? The data which is recorded in the form of what is that? The same one. What's that? JSON file or whatever it may be. And the next one you have, what is that? Unstructured data is also stored here. What is that? Unstructured data. So guys, what is it? You have it? Unstructured data. So that means sorry. The Azure Blob Storage is the very basic storage, guys. Everyone. The Azure Blob Storage is a very basic storage, guys. Everyone. The Azure Blob Storage is a very basic storage. The Azure Blob Storage is a very basic storage, guys, which can store the data. Yes, guys, which can store the data. Okay, which can store the data. Yes, guys, which can store the data, which can store the data, any kind of data, whether it is structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. But here, guys, there is a drawback. What is a drawback? Yes, guys, there is a drawback. The drawback is nothing but this is called as a limited storage. Limited storage. That means there will be a limit for storing the data. But what is the limit, guys? Yes, everyone, what is the limit? 500 terabyte TB. We cannot store the data more than 500 TB, guys. Okay, that is the limit. So hence, this is the drawback you will have it in the Azure Blob Storage. To overcome the drawback, guys, that means to overcome the drawback, the Azure has introduced, guys, in some other store or there is other clouds, you may call the Azure Blob Storage as S3 bucket. That is in Amazon or else in the GCP, we call it as what? S3 bucket. S3 bucket, now the same S3 bucket is blob storage here. Okay, where in here, apart from this, guys, do you have any idea about the AWS or the GCP? Yes, guys, please respond. Yeah, guys, should be interactive, ma, please. Yes, so here the same thing we call it here. Okay, so that's it. So we say what's that? This to particular thing, Azure Blob Storage is just like the S3 bucket, guys. Azure Blob Storage is the S3 bucket. The Azure Blob Storage is the S3 bucket. The next one, what's that you have it, guys? Everyone, you have the Azure. Okay, guys, you have what's it? Azure Data Lake. It's a more advanced storage, guys. Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So Gen 2 means what? Generation 2. Here also, guys, the Gen 2, what we talk here, the Gen 2, there is the Generation 2. Can you see it? The Azure Data Lake Gen 2 can store the following. What's that? Azure Data Lake Gen 2 can store the following. What's that you have that? Azure Data Lake Gen 2 can store the following: structured data, semi-structured data, and as well as the unstructured data. And here it is called as the unlimited storage. unlimited. It is called as what? Unlimited storage. It is called as what, guys? Unlimited storage. It is called as what? Unlimited storage. Azure Data Lake Gen 2. That is, it is called as what? Unlimited storage. It is called as what? Unlimited storage. Where it has what is it? Structured data, semi-structured data, and as well as the unstructured data. So it has what? Unlimited storage. It has what's it, guys? Unlimited storage. Okay, everyone. The next one, guys, after this, okay. So we have Azure Blob Storage, Azure Blob Storage, yes, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So here you have unlimited storage. That means the same over drawback what we had it in the blob storage has overcome here. You know, the Azure has overcome by introducing the Azure Data Lake Gen 2. And moreover, here the data is recorded in the one more form that is called as DFS form, which is called as distributed file format. What it is called as? Distributed file format. Now, what is a distributed file format? We will discuss it. Okay. Now, I'll give you a small example, but we will have to discuss that exactly in details. Once we get into the subject, we will discuss. Distributed file format is something, but suppose, guys, your 100 lines data is there, and now you want to store the data into 4 different forms, equal forms. So what happens here? 100 lines data is there. One Excel sheet will see 100 lines data is there. You have to distribute the data among 4 different, you know, 4 different files. So how much data will be allocated to each file here? 250 lines. Am I right? 250 lines, one file. 250 lines, one file. 215 lines, one file. 250 lines, one file. So totally, what, guys? Totally you have 4. Totally you have what's it, guys? Totally you have what is it? 4 different partitions you will have it. Okay. So again, you have what's it? Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Okay. So this is called as a that is distributed file system. That is called as a DFS system, guys. Then apart from this, about the DFS system, I will explain you in detail. No worries, because we have to we will take a whole class on the storages. That is, we will take one more class on the, you know, basically on the storage, and as well as the Gen 2, and as well as the distributed file formats. It means how the distribution process takes place. Okay, all those things I will just tell you in detail. Don't worry on this. Okay. Now, again, the next one, what is it? You have it, guys, the next storage. You have what's it? Azure. So guys, Azure SQLDB. Azure SQLDB means what, guys? Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database. What's that you have it? Azure SQL database. So means when we talk about the Azure SQL database, that means what, guys? Here it can store the following type of data. What is that? When you talk about the Azure, guys, when you talk about the Azure SQL database, SQL means what? SQL means structured query language. When you talk about the structured query language, it can store only the structured data, guys, not any more data, structured data. And then you have what's that, guys, everyone? Azure SQL DB, and then you have what's that? Azure Cosmos DB. Cosmos means what, guys? Cosmos is the another form of data base, you can say, wherein you can store these 2 type of data. So what is that? You can store structured data and as well as the semi-structured data. Structured data and as well as the semi-structured data. You can store what's that? Structured data and as well as the semi-structured data. We can store it, guys. Okay. Structured and as well as the semi-structured data. So likewise, another way, guys, what is that you have it? 5th point, that is called as a Azure. Okay, guys, what's that you have it? Azure. Okay, Cosmos DB. So that means what, guys? Structured data we can store it, and semi-structure also we can store it. And the next one you have, what is that, guys? Azure Synapse Analytics means what? Synapse Analytics is nothing but, guys, Synapse Analytics is nothing but this is the data warehouse of Azure, guys. Synapse Analytics is nothing but what, guys? It is the data warehouse of Azure, which can store only the structured data. When you talk about the data warehouse will always store the cleansed data. Cleansed means final layer of the data, final layer. After going through all the process, once the data reaches the final layer, that final layer of the data is called as the data warehouse. That means finally we store the data in the data warehouse, and from the data warehouse, we pick up the data. Yes, guys, we pick up the data and we perform the process. So hence we call it as what? Final layer of the data. So hence we call it as what? Final layer of the data. So, okay. Always it is called as what? The final layer of the data. That's it. Okay. So likewise, guys, everyone. Likewise, when we discuss, okay, likewise, when you discuss, we have the following storages, guys. What is this? Azure. Okay, guys. So we have what's that, everyone? We have the following storages which are available. Those are called as what? Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake Gen 2, Azure SQL DB, Cosmos DB, Synapse, and likewise you have many more storages, guys. Okay, like you have the sixth one, I can say, guys, Azure Elastic Pools. Azure Elastic Pool. So what is Azure Elastic Pool, guys, everyone? So Azure Elastic Pool is nothing but a group of databases. What do you mean? See, guys, there is one production database is there, and there is one sales database is there, and then we have what is it? Production database, sales database, inventory database, purchase database. Likewise, there is a group of 100 databases are there. All those 100 databases you wanted to store in one place. That means called as what? Elastic pool. The place is called as what? Elastic pool. So when we talk about the elastic pool, simply it can store the structured data. No other type of data supported. Okay, guys. So likewise, you have how many? 90 plus storages. So tomorrow we will discuss how the 90 storages will appear and all. So guys, for that, what we will do, guys, everyone. So meanwhile, I request all of you to just create the logins onto the page. That is called as what? First of all, you have to use the azure.com. Then after logging into the azure.com, you have to give your mail ID, your mobile number, and your debit or credit card details, which will take only 2 rupees from your debit or credit card to create the subscription. And go for the portal.azure.com. Portal.azure.com. Go with what? Portal.azure.com. Go with portal.azure.com. That's it, guys. Go with the portal.azure.com. Okay. I will show you practically tomorrow how to open this page and how to move further. Everything I will show it to you tomorrow. So tomorrow mostly we will start with the this practicals, and we will start with the ADF as well tomorrow. Azure Data Factory. So we will start with the first component called as the Azure Data Factory. Okay, guys. So that is the thing we have it. So if you have any doubts, guys, please you can ask me now. Please go ahead and ask me. Yes, please respond.
Yeah, so hi, Rohit here. So, what are the roles and responsibility of a Azure data engineer? Actually, I joined today
Yeah, so
for this demo.
data engineer roles and responsibilities. When we talk about the roles and responsibilities of a data engineer, the role there is the data engineer, has a the wide range of responsibilities on him to work on, such as starts from the data gathering process. Starts from what's it, guys? Data gathering process. Data gathering, then preparing the data. I'm telling you in a very simplified language, yes, so that you can understand it. Gathering of the data, preparing of the data, okay, preparing of the data, then you know, the preparing the data, and then pulling in the data into the cloud system. Okay, pulling in the data into the cloud system. If it is in on-premises, okay, if it is in on-premises, after pulling in the data, the data engineer, what is he does? He performs the job of, data filtration process. What is the limit of, what is the level of data you require it? Suppose here in this case, I can tell you, suppose you have 1 lakh rows are there. There is a company in which you have 1 lakh employees. So all 1 lakh employees data is there. But now I don't require only 1 lakh employees data. I require only those employees whose salary is more than 50,000. So those employees, I will choose it. Getting my point? So that is called as what, guys? That is called as what, basically? Okay, that is called as what? Filtration. So we filter the data, and then afterwards, I wanted to at the same time know here what is the total amount of salary, or what is the total amount of money being spent towards paying the salaries of these employees. So for that, you have to calculate the sum. So that means some aggregation function is needed here. Okay, so we perform some aggregation, guys. We perform some aggregation, and finally, once the aggregation, everything is done, what happens? The new data, the new values will be generated. That means this is the to net amount you will require to spend it towards paying the salaries of the employees, and these are the number of employees you have it. So you'll get the new data. That new data, what I will do, I will prepare it, I will represent it in the form of a, in the form of a report, not exactly in the report, in the form of a graphical structure. That means a structure which represents, okay, in a user attractive. That means it should be very much understanding, and that is something, but very pleasant to look on. I'll prepare a graph. I'll prepare a graph. Okay, and then that graph I will basically represent it to the end user. Based on that, the end user takes the decision. So here, as a data engineer, you will be involved in all the tasks. Okay, you will involved in all the tasks, and few tasks are there, such as what is that? Database designing is there. Okay, database designing is there. So that is not basically done by the uh, data engineers. Why? Because you will have database architects will be there separately. So solution architects, which we call them. So they will take care of that. Okay, so anyways, here nowadays, if you have that much of experience, designing experience is already there, then no problem. That will be a very good added advantage for you, so that they will okay, so that they will buy. Okay, so that they will offer you a good package. Okay, guys.
And also like this, whatever task you have told, right? So these are all done by the data analyst. So what are the difference between a data analyst and data engineer? Also, like what are the technologies, other technologies we
The
need to
data
learn?
engineering job, guys, the data engineering job, basically, guys, the data engineering job. Okay, the data engineering job, the data analytical job. The analytical job is one of the part of the data engineering activity only.
Okay. And what are the other technologies we need to learn to become a data engineer?
You require basically, okay, guys, you require a Python. That is, PySpark is required for you to learn and become this, because right now the scripting languages, either you require the Scala or you require the Python. Okay, and the SQL is also needed. Okay, so these are the three things you require it. Okay, PySpark and SQL. If you have the knowledge of PySpark and SQL, then it's fine. So you will really need all these things. Okay, and yeah, next.
So are those also included in this course or
Pardon?
we need so these Python and SQL, so will
I
you
will
be
tell you
teaching
the
those as
basics of SQL. I'll tell you, no problem. SQL is not a big deal. Like SQL is a very the small one you have it. I can tell you that SQL. Python, the basics I'll tell you. Okay, that is the PySpark. The basics of PySpark I'll tell you anyways. Okay, so if you want more in detail about the PySpark, then you will have to learn it separately. Okay, so or else I have some videos. That videos I can provide you on the PySpark which I have done it. Okay, so you can just take that as well. Okay, so that's it, guys. Any other questions if you have, you can ask me. Okay, guys. Thank you everyone. So for attending the session now, and that's it for the day. So tomorrow we'll continue the same time, guys. There will be same link, guys. There will no change in the link. Okay, there will be no change in the link even tomorrow. You can follow the same link, guys. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.